Hello everybody, I'm Rachel Reese, the Executive Director of the Glenwood Area Chamber of Commerce.
I'm Marco Floriani, Executive Director of the Mills County Economic Development Foundation.
We know that this year will not be the same as the past years, but we want to welcome you back to school.
We know this year will be different, but we're so grateful to have you guiding and leading our students in 2020 and 2021.
Thank you for continuing to invest in Glenwood. Go Rams!
Welcome back to the 2020-2021 school year. Optimism is defined as hopefulness and confidence about the future or of a successful outcome. On the other side of the spectrum, one doesn't have to look far in the headlines of any major news website to feel a barrage of negativity. Demonstrations, pandemic, hate crimes, mafia tactics, protests, attacks, racism, violent crimes, death. Yes, there's a lot of challenge in front of us as a district, as a state, and as a nation. However, I'm optimistic. I'm confident that when we set our minds to something, we can achieve. I'm optimistic that when the generation of children leave our halls, they will understand the ways to effectively communicate with each other, not via a news feed or social media feed or their latest TikTok video. Rather, the ability to reach out and the ability to know and understand the soul of the individual they're communicating with. Continue to focus on helping others understand the value of communication through your daily interactions. It's as critical as to what our children will get out of a textbook, and more important than what they will get from their social media feed. The ability to truly communicate, the ability to know a person, the ability to know the person's inner core. Something we all know that isn't received in a couple hundred characters from a one-way electronic feed. As we head back to school, let us think of the future and how we can all understand each other and our ability to truly communicate. Let us be able to understand the individual we're communicating with. Let's not only teach that ability, but model it. We start the new year in times that are as far from ordinary as we have ever experienced. Yet I'm optimistic for the future. The path won't be straight and without challenges, but I know collectively we will achieve the destination. Nelson Mandela wrote, "I am fundamentally an optimist. Whether that comes from nature or nurture, I cannot say. Part of being an optimist is keeping one's head pointed toward the sun, one's feet moving forward. As we start off this year, may your head be pointed towards the sun." Thank you and have a great year.
Good morning. I hope you found ways to enjoy the last few days of summer break. We are called once again to rise to the challenge that faces us. Last year it was a visible foe in the form of a natural disaster, the flood. Our community came together to support one another in so many ways, and looking back, I'm encouraged by the progress that we've made to move on from it, even stronger than before. This year, the battle shifts to an invisible foe in the form of an ongoing worldwide pandemic caused by the coronavirus. Though the challenge is unfamiliar and daunting, we are here nonetheless, and we will do our best to support each other and our students. No doubt, these are very challenging times, and it will take all of us, together, to be successful in our efforts. The school board's passage of a virtual live synchronous option will help our families who are not quite ready to return their students to our setting. We are also working with staff with health issues and providing alternate options for them that also will benefit our students. It is likely that ongoing guidance from the state will continue, and we will respond and modify our return to learn plan when and if necessary. I think it is important to note, however, that at any time we could be moved to continuous required online. The fluidity of the situation requires that we be prepared in advance of that scenario. Because of how days and hours are counted, we will not be able to provide days to prepare in advance of moving to this scenario, should we be called to do so. All teachers will need to have their online protocol ready to be implemented immediately. Staff will be required to utilize face coverings at all times when in the presence of students or when no plexiglass shield is used. Students are expected to wear face coverings in grades 3 through 12. In grades pre-kindergarten through 2nd grade, we will be encouraging face coverings. If a student does not have one, you may ask them if they have a mask or if they need a mask. But if they do not accept one, you must cease from pursuing them about wearing one. They cannot be segregated from other students, and we must ensure that no staff or student is bullied or harassed for wearing or not wearing a mask. At this time, there is not a standard on required masks for staff other than that each must be of solid material, meaning no mesh, and must cover the mouth and nose at the same time and fit in such a way that you are not constantly touching it. Staff who want to wear a shield over a mask or instead of a mask will be allowed to do so. We are told that neck gaiters provide the least amount of protection. They only stop at best 7% of particulates from coming in and out of the covering. While no mask will protect you completely with regard to the virus, some do seem to provide more protection than others. We recommend that you find one that you like. However, the district will provide you a face covering if you do not have one. The district will offer a blue surgical mask and/or face shield to staff who do not provide their own. All buildings will have increased hygiene and cleaning procedures in place. In addition, plexiglass shielding will be provided to teachers and staff who request them for small group work or as a barrier from students. You can read about the individual details per building by going to our website and scrolling down to the latest news, and side-scrolling to our Return to Learn plan. Specific questions concerning the plan should be directed to your building administrator. I want to especially thank all those who were part of our district Kaizen earlier this summer, providing meaningful discussion, feedback, and problem solving. Your input is invaluable and is another example of how the high level of professionalism at GCSD makes real change and effective responses to challenges possible. Administratively, we are moving toward implementation of a change management system that will guide how decisions are made in our district. That work is still ongoing, but we hope to have a new system in place by the first of the year. Additionally, I would like to thank all those who attended assessment training, PLC facilitator training, and TQPD optional day. It has been a busy summer with professional development offerings. PBIS development will continue across the district with the high school launching their training this year. We are excited to have a district-wide system in place that rewards the positive among our students. The positive results that our elementary buildings are seeing is only a fraction of what our entire district could be once we are at full implementation at the secondary level. In closing, I want to stress the importance of unity and the ability to stay calm in tense situations. We assume that we will have positive COVID cases. To think we will not would be foolish. How we respond to those cases and how we support one another in these situations will determine how successful we are in our efforts. Additionally, we need to stress the importance of increased hygiene, the use of masks, distancing whenever possible, and knowing how to cough and sneeze appropriately. These cannot be words that are just spoken, but actions that should be modeled and supported on a daily basis. I want to thank you for being a part of an incredible team of dedicated individuals, making meaning out of nonsense, positively supporting those without hope, and is the difference maker for so many of our students and their families. In an effort to recognize the increased cleaning efforts, we will open with presentable jeans and spirit wear until further notice. Let's stay calm, let's stay strong, let's stay connected, and let's remain Rams United. Thank you.
Welcome back, staff. I'm Dr. Chad Lang, the Director of School Improvement. While I have no new staff to introduce you to today, I would like to talk a little bit about the 3 pillars of school improvement and how we're going to aim to work together to support you this year. First of all, in the area of curriculum, one major question you might have is, how will we handle all the subject area committee days that we currently do on an annual basis? The short answer is that at this time, the CCC hasn't met at the time of this recording to make that decision. However, by the time that you view this recording, they will have met, and we'll be able to communicate a decision to you on the status of whether or not we'll have subject area committee days, at least for the first semester. Rest assured, though, we've done such great work in the past. We can build upon the strengths that we have within our curriculum and also utilize our PLCs and other structures to support the great work we've done, make edits to what we have, and continue to move forward and build off all the positives in our curriculum department. I want you to know that we have completely redone and rebuilt our curriculum library website as of last spring. And it's a huge thanks to Michelle Kelly. If you have an opportunity to reach out to Michelle Kelly in our office, just sending her a thank you for all the great work she's done in communication, including the rebuilding of our website, please do that. If you're looking for our curriculum library website, it's in the same place. You go to the main part of our website at glenwoodschools.org, click on staff, and then you'll see the link to the curriculum library. It has a new fresh look and is set up very similar to how it's been in the past. The one thing I would ask you to remember as we head into this school year is that we really can come back to focus on the four main questions of the PLC as a driving force for how we communicate with our teams and our students and across buildings. And those are, how will we know what our students know and can do? Second, what will we do when we find out that information? Third, how will we work with those students who are not yet there? And fourth, when we know they're there, how will we work with those students to take them farther? That, in essence, is where we are this year around the area of curriculum. The second main pillar is that of assessment. You may have a lot of questions about assessment, and one of the things we can celebrate is the fact that we offered professional development over the last few weeks this summer, and we had over 50 of your colleagues participate in assessment, particularly on pre-assessment and formative assessment. Please lean on those colleagues as key figures within your PLCs to grow in that area of pre-assessment and to be able to utilize data to best meet the needs of our students. One of the things we've learned through the COVID closure time period is that a lot of great minds in our country and our world have put their heads together about how to best meet the needs of students when we get the opportunity to teach them again. And rest assured, the final theme is this: we have to provide access to the on-grade level and on-content curriculum to identify the possible gaps in their learning or schema and be systematic about how we address those gaps, but not start with a deficit in mind, but rather build upon the strengths that our students already have. The third pillar of school improvement is assessment. In the spring of 2019, we asked our staff some of the areas of professional development that they're seeking. 74% of our staff mentioned in some way, shape, or form assessment. In the past July, we offered an optional professional development half-day workshop for our staff. Over 51 teachers participated in this professional development on pre-assessment and formative assessment. We're happy to know that those individuals will be some of the people that you can rely upon this year in providing and designing some quality assessment for our students. One thing to consider, the main goal is we're really trying to assess where our students are on grade level, on content level curriculum. And from there, we can use the data to backtrack any holes or gaps in their schema to bring them up to speed, provide interventions, and continue with progress monitoring. Remember, assessment is a key conversation associated with the PLC framework. It's now more than ever we need to rely upon each other, collaborate, ask questions, and communicate. Those are all essential foundations of the RAM way. If there's anything that I can do for you or anyone in our office, please feel free to contact us anytime. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to introduce our new Kids Place coordinator, Heidi Lunn. Heidi was hired in the late winter of last school year to transition with Rhonda prior to her retirement. Welcome, Heidi.
Hi, I'm Heidi Lunn. I'm the new coordinator here at Kids Place. I recently started back in December. I'm so excited to be a part of the Kids Place team and take us to the next step in life here at Kids Place. We're super excited to help families have that quality center that they can bring their children and know that they have peace of mind that we're taking good care of them.
Now I would like to turn it over to our administrators and directors to introduce their new staff for this school year.
We at the high school would like to take the time to introduce our new staff for the 2021 school year. Heather Lewis, she'll be joining our English Language Arts department, and she comes to us with experience from Fremont Mills.
Katrina Hobart will be back at the high school this year as a level 1 special education teacher. She held the same position at the middle school last year.
We welcome you to the high school, and go Rams.
like to welcome the following teachers to the middle school this year. Amanda Crouch is our new 8th grade history teacher. She comes to us from Fremont Mills, where she was the TLC district coordinator. Josh Miller is our 8th grade English language arts teacher. He is a recent graduate of Iowa State. Sarah Phillips is our new level 2-3 teacher. She has worked as both an associate and sub in the district and is a recent graduate of Buena Vista. Melanie Schoening is our new 6th grade special education teacher. She is a graduate of Northwest Missouri State and has recently taught elementary in Council Bluffs. And Jennifer Stortenbecker is our new 7th and 8th grade special education teacher. She has been a sub in our district and is a recent graduate of Northwestern College. I'm looking forward to a great year with these new staff members.
West Elementary would like to welcome Marissa Briley to the school. She will be our new SEL this year. Marissa received her bachelor's degree in human resources from Northwest Missouri State University and is currently finishing up her graduate level courses in school counseling at BV. This is Marissa's first year in education, and she will also be joining our volleyball team as a coach. Welcome to the district, Marissa.
Northeast is happy to welcome Laura Kelly to our district. She is returning to us from Bellevue and will be our new resource teacher. We're excited to have her in the building and to get the year started.
The Operations Department would like to welcome Krista Ellis as the new Transportation Administrative Assistant in the Operations Transportation Department down here. And she was previously employed at GRC for 12 years, and we're looking forward to the new year. Thank you.
We have a great team here, and we've added to it all the time. Some of our new team players that we have are Grace Tattersall. She helps out in our baby room. We have Lindsay Lipsett, who helps out in our fours room. And we've got Ali Alley, who's joined us as our on-site in the mornings. We also have Tyra Buckner and Genevieve Hartshorn. They both are helping out in our new threes room. We have Vivian Payne, who's added recently as well, and she's a floater. She helps out where is needed. We also have Riley Spahn, who's added to our school age younger room. We're just excited to have these ladies join our group here and our team, and we're just excited to move forward with our next adventure here at Kids Place. And we hope that everybody gets a chance to see all the fun things and activities we're doing too. And we hope everybody has a great school year, and we just want to say, let's go Rams, have a great year.
At this time, we would like you to watch the EMC video on safety.
Hello, Glenwood Community School District. My name is Kevin Clayton. I'm a risk improvement engineer for EMC Insurance out of Des Moines. EMC is the property and casualty insurance carrier for the Glenwood School District. I've been asked to provide a little bit of safety training for the district this fall. I've been able to join you in person in several previous years, but due to our COVID-19 situation this year, it's going to be a little bit different. So I will try to provide you with a little bit of safety information and food for thought as you begin the school year. At the end of the presentation, I'll have little things as questions. If you have any questions, please contact Deb. She has my email address. I'd be glad to share any particular questions you might have. So without further ado, I will shift now to the PowerPoint presentation, and you'll just hear my voice from here on out. Bear with me here. All right, a little bit about me. I've been with EMC almost 16 years now, and I cover quite a few states across the country. I'm not just confined to the state of Iowa. I graduated from Iowa State many moons ago, and I've worked for mostly Fortune 500 manufacturing companies. I'm originally from Newton, Iowa, and I currently reside there now. And you see a picture there of the Iowa Speedway. I always do a little tourism promo whenever I go places. Most of you folks in Iowa know where that's at. And so that's a little bit about me. Today we're going to talk about common sense, risk and hazards, Iowa loss history, and where the Glenwood School District stands as far as employee injuries. I'm going to talk about a thing called risk tolerance, and then we're also going to talk about solutions to those problems. First of all, I tell people every year, and whenever I do a presentation, we talk about common sense. And according to Merriam-Webster, common sense is sound and prudent judgment based on a simple perception of the situation or facts. The main problem here is we're all individuals. We all interpret those situations or facts differently. And on the lower left there, you see some of the fancy words that we can also use for common sense. The reason I talk about common sense is what you see here is a picture of some hikers in a place called Glacier National Park. This picture was taken in August of 2011 when I happened to be doing some EMC work out in that neighborhood. And that was also the year the Missouri River was flooding, and a lot of the water originated from this very spot. Usually this spot is completely snow and ice free, but the only way to get to a pretty little place called Hidden Lake was to take this roundabout path, where normally you would have a wooden boardwalk. Now, if you were to slip off to the left there, you would be falling probably about a 500-foot elevation differential, and that's when you look off the in your thick picture there, the left-hand side, looking straight down, that's what you see in that right-hand picture. But since it's August, vacation time, what do most people wear? Sandals. And that's what these people in this picture were wearing. So when I talk about common sense is, even though it's summertime, wearing sandals on snow and ice is definitely not a recommended situation, which gets us into the term of risk. Here again, Merriam-Webster defines risk as a possibility of loss or injury, or something that creates or suggests a hazard, chance of loss or perils, an insurance contract, or the game of chance. And here are some more related words that you might recognize. And so going back to Merriam-Webster once again, the word hazard, accident, a chance event or accident, an unforeseen and unplanned event or circumstance, and an unfortunate event resulting especially from carelessness or ignorance. So if we know there's going to be accidents happening in schools or results of hazards, what are those hazards? Believe it or not, especially for the folks that are brand new out of college and this might be your first job in a school, or you've moved over from another job and taken one of the staff positions, such as in the food service or custodial area, believe it or not, yes, there are hazards in school districts. And so I ask you this, where is wisdom? And the wisdom I usually refer to is the stuff that's between our ears, our gray matter, all of our life experiences, our education, all the things we've done through all our years. That's where the wisdom resides. In reality, this particular sign is taken in southwestern Montana near the town of Wisdom. Now, the past school year, the just completed school year, this pie chart tells us where the property and casualty lines of insurance broke down to. By and large, worker comp is almost always the biggest piece of this puzzle. This past year, liability crept up. We had a single liability situation that was extremely unusual and fairly expensive. So the pie chart normally has the blue section almost half, if not more. But what does Glenwood look like? This is a little bit more typical of all of Iowa in a normal year. But over the past 5 school years, worker comp has been the largest portion of the Glenwood School District injury situation. Now, over the years, the past 5 years, the district has seen a bit of an up and down. And as you might suspect, this past year with the COVID thing kicking in and schools curtailing operations in March, there was a downward trend, not only in terms of the numbers of injuries, but also the cost of those injuries. They didn't go away 100%, but I think most school districts would see a similar pattern to this one. As far as what kind of job categories are experiencing the most injuries in the Glenwood School District, teachers are the tops there in terms of count and dollars, followed by custodians, food service, maintenance, transportation, and on down the line. What types of injuries are happening? As far as total numbers, slips and fall are the highest as far as count, but overexertion is the highest in terms of cost of those injuries. So we will focus mostly in this rest of this presentation on the slip and fall and the fall elevated categories. A year ago, I showed you the graph on the left, and so I decided to repeat it this year. And what does it look like? Almost the very same thing. And magically, come December, there's something that happens, starts falling out of the sky, and it makes those surfaces outside that we walk on extremely slippery. And that's why you see the charts that you do. These charts, the curve and the height of those bars may vary from year to year, but I can almost guarantee you over the past 5, 10, 15 years, that chart looks very similar. So we know something's going to happen, and we want to try to do things to minimize the interaction of our bodies with outside walking surfaces to try to reduce injury count. I want to share with you a few of the injuries over the past school year in Iowa schools. You can see these all the way from $352,000 down to $70,000, and you can kind of look for yourself: moving snow, working with a student, tripped on the asphalt outside, shoe caught in a piece of equipment, playing with students, and conducting the band, fell during a parade. I can also show you ones that are zero, but the reason I call your attention to these is just a kind of interesting look to see how bad an injury could happen, and the fact that every job category in a school district is affected by these kind of injuries. When it comes to being fall from elevation, here again, you've got them all over the map, all sorts of different job categories and all kinds of reasons. I'll call your attention to the third one there. The teacher standing on a desk fell, hit their head, passed out, concussion. I strongly advise anyone in a school district, do not stand on chairs, do not stand on desks. This is what can happen. I'm pretty certain that a $70,000 injury to an individual, their body is not going to be quite the same as it was before the injury happened. And we certainly don't want to see that happen to any of you folks in Glenwood either. Talk a little bit about risk tolerance. There are 10 main categories of risk tolerance, and you see them listed here, all the way from overestimating a person's ability, being too familiar with the task, seriousness of the outcome, voluntary actions and being in control, our own personal experience with an outcome, the cost of noncompliance, being overly confident in the equipment we use, confidence in the protection and rescue should we get ourselves in trouble, the potential profit and gain from our inappropriate actions, and role models that work around us accepting the risk. Today, I'm just going to focus on the first two: risk tolerance. Overestimating our capability or experience. Basically, that means that we believe that our own physical ability allows them to do the task without getting hurt, and that many years of experience, wisdom, there's that word wisdom again, can prevent any adverse situations. And familiarity with the task, essentially complacency. Self-confidence, especially when accompanied by being unaware of actual dangers and deficiencies. And that's partly why I do these presentations, is to increase your awareness that these hazards and dangers do exist. So the pictures that you see here, the one on the right, that's one I snapped myself at a school district that shall remain nameless. That is a kindergartner teacher standing on a kindergarten-sized chair, reaching up above the cameras to obtain something. Now, first of all, chairs are chairs, ladders are ladders, and the two should not be used interchangeably for either purpose. And I strongly encourage you to use a ladder when you need to get up higher to retrieve something. The lower right photo, very nice display during the fall harvest season. The problem is when elementary school students like to come barging out of the room at any given point in time, especially at recess or lunch, those items in the hallway provide tripping hazards. Kids can trip, adults can trip. It's a very nice display, and I'm not trying to knock the nice homey atmosphere and welcoming atmosphere to the school, but doing something when it's low like that makes it harder to see, and it just creates problems. You'd be amazed at the number of injuries that occur to teachers every year from tripping over something low-lying such you see in that picture. The next part of the overestimating our abilities is the belief that an accident or injury cannot occur due to excellent physical ability. Now, the picture you see in this slide shows a set of scaffolding used to direct the marching band in the fall. Now, we have a sectional extension ladder there. Depending on the age of our band director or whoever's directing the band. Maybe or maybe not, they're able to scale that ladder. That's pretty high up there. That's what, 16 feet, maybe close to 20 feet high. And so sometimes it may look safe. I'm glad they have a guardrail around the top there, but sometimes there are limitations, and if we're somewhat afraid of heights, these kind of things present all kinds of hazards. And then we also believe that pure physical ability can overcome any adverse situation. And so just because I've climbed ladders, maybe I'm a teacher who paints houses in the summertime. And I climb ladders all the time. And that's just well and good. I'm glad you're able to do that. However, when it comes to school grounds, we have to think a little bit differently, because at that point in time, the school district becomes liable for any injuries that happen to you. And just because you were able to do it during the summertime doesn't necessarily mean it's an appropriate situation during the school year. Again, overestimating our ability and experience, the belief that an incident or injury cannot occur due to our knowledge of the task, and relying on years of experience to predict and prevent incidents. The picture you see there on the right is, and unfortunately, we don't see too much of that anymore, but you have your audiovisual equipment on a cart plugged into the wall, and you essentially have a trip cord across the room. Now, let's say the fire alarm bell goes off. It's time for a fire drill, and we forget that that cord is there, and we start charging out of the room, and lo and behold, we have a tripping accident. And so just because we know it's there at the start of the class period, something might get in the way of us remembering that, like the fire alarm drill. And so that's how accidents can happen as well. The second one on our risk tolerance list there was familiarity with the task. And essentially due to complacency, based on that familiarization, we've done the same thing over and over. We've done it for a long period of time, and we get real comfortable working near a hazard. And sometimes we are skeptical that there is a hazard. There was no incident when I did this that way last time. The picture you see there had an interaction with a certified instructor at a particular school district. This photo was taken in early March. In Iowa, in early March, we're susceptible to snow, ice, refreeze. This particular individual, when I asked her about the footwear, she assured me that she did not wear this footwear when it was snowing outside, and that she was extremely comfortable. And so basically, she is overly comfortable working near the hazards. It just so happened this particular school building, where the snow had gotten piled from pushing away from the parking lots during the winter time, was on the upward side, and there was a little bit of a slight slope to the parking lot. And like I said, during March, we can get some 40-degree temperatures during the day, and that snow melts during the day, and the temperature drops below freezing at night. And by morning time, we have black ice or icebergs in the parking lot in the morning. This individual was wearing that footwear from her car to the building. And so she became comfortable working near a hazard, not realizing, although she knew that what I was going to talk to her about, not realizing that she could be putting herself in the line of fire and possible slip and fall injury. Also, familiarity with the task, situational awareness. The picture on the right, I've shared this one with people before, and it shows a couple of custodians changing out the light bulbs in the hallway of an older building that has tall ceilings. And this is one of those Larry the Cable Guy, get her done type situations. Rather than getting up and down off the ladder, in order to save some time, they put the ladder, each leg of the ladder, under those little 12-inch scooters like the elementary kids use in gym class. And so the custodian wouldn't have to get up and down every time, saves time. And the other custodian would push her down the hallway to change the next light bulbs. Now, most people recognize that this is not a good situation, and they kind of chuckle when they see this. However, it happens more frequent than we'd like, And I'd encourage you not to repeat this particular situation. Like a lot of the ads say, do not do this at home. So what could go wrong? How would I teach a new person to do this job better? And it might not hurt to verbalize the task steps of the task while you're doing it. Here are some solutions I want to offer to you to consider in doing your jobs. On the upper left are strap-on, essentially cleats for snow, and those strap on your shoes fairly easily. So when you have to go outside and walk on icy conditions, it acts like studded snow tires. If any of you are old enough to remember studded snow tires, you can put those on and reduce your chances of falling on the ice. In the center picture is a nice lightweight ladder that's portable, can be used in a classroom to retrieve items that might be stored on a higher shelf. Custodians can use it, cooks can use it. It's a very nice tool. The picture on the right is a wheeled cart. I took this picture in a school in Wisconsin where the instructor had put all of her belongings and teaching materials in the cart to roll it to the car. And what this does, it lowers your center of gravity and makes it much easier. So you're concentrating on walking rather than trying to hold items and not fall. The picture on the bottom are examples of slip-resistant footwear, especially for people in the food service and custodial areas. The tread pattern on the bottom of these shoes is much like a snow tire, and it provides a lot more surface contact in slippery conditions. And many school districts are starting to use those now. And believe it or not, those shoes are no more expensive than your Nikes and New Balance shoes that you go to the fancy shoe stores to obtain. A couple more solutions. The upper left is shows a tray there by where the students hang up their coats to put snow boots. The upper right is a very well organized classroom that has cubby holes for all the teaching materials. The lower right is a very well organized tool board in a tech ed shop. And on the left is something that I've seen more and more of, is essentially a t-shirt or a cloth bag that fits to the back of the chair so that the students can put all their books and backpacks and learning materials in that sack rather than on the floor, which prevents items on the floor to trip and fall against. A couple more solutions. Using mats at water fountains so that the water that drips out of the students' mouths as they exit the water fountain drips on something that'll absorb it rather than onto the hard floor where you can slip and fall. In the upper right, this is getting more common in high schools, and as we get more laptop computers, electronic devices, it's a cord reel power source that's hanging from the ceiling rather than from the wall or draped across the floor. The lower right are LED lights that illuminate the edge of steps within an auditorium. And the lower left is some bright tape that does cover a cord that happens to go across a walking path. And the contrast between the teal color and the carpet helps you increase your visibility of doing that. A couple more solutions in the cook's area, the kitchen, a ramp with paper on it, paper that increases your traction. And this way you also don't have to lift carts going in and out of a cooler. The right-hand side, here again, we've got power cords coming down from the top rather than boxes that might be mounted on the floor or from the wall. The lower right is the threshold going into a cooler that's the same elevation and a continuous surface from the main walking surface, so you're not having to lift carts over a hump or a provided hump there, threshold that somebody might trip on. And the picture in the lower left is a sink that has foot pedals, so you can operate the sink with your feet rather than having to use your hands, especially if your hands are dirty and greasy. And the other part there, you notice that there's some splash shields on the side of that sink so that whatever water does splash stays within the sink basin rather than falling off onto the floor. Another safety device. Couple more items here. I'm a big fan of yellow paint. It's a very nice material. And what you see here is edges that are painted yellow to increase our visibility of being able to see those surfaces so that we either don't stumble or trip. We know that they're there. As you saw earlier, the slip and fall injuries across the district and the state are the two leading categories of all injuries. And these are just some pictures of examples of ways to counteract that possibility. Another couple pictures here. The picture on the left is straddles the tires so that they to wash the windows of a school bus. You stand on that rather than the little bitty peg that you see there in the lower right of a school bus. Upper right, here again, lubrication or compressed air reel coming down from the ceiling. The lower right is a little bit of a rolling ladder that can be used to wipe windows or work on the engine inside of a school bus. Just another way to not have to stand on the tire. And on the left there is a yellow stripe showing the stand-back line at a lane where the buses will pick up, so children can stay back behind that, know where they're supposed to be before crossing it and when the bus is ready. A couple more here in the custodial world. Upper left is a battery-powered floor scrubber that also picks up the water after it scrubs a little bit, so it leaves a dry surface to walk on. Upper right is a double-sided mop bucket so that the dirty water gets squeezed and goes into one half of the bucket, and the microfiber mop gets dipped into a totally clean part of the bucket, and so you're always putting a freshly squeezed mop into fresh water and thereby not reusing the same water over and over again like you would with a typical rag mop. The lower right picture is of what's called square scrub. It's a dry process for removing wax from vinyl floors and terrazzo floors. It's much less hazardous than using the traditional gooey stuff to remove wax that's been used in many schools for over the years. In the lower left photo is a yellow pipe covering in the boiler room, so you can see where that condensate pipe is running. The visual contrast with the yellow, here again it's a yellow thing, love the yellow, and it helps increase your visibility of a potential trip hazard. So safety really can be brought down into 5 simple steps. Try to approach those non-routine tasks cautiously. If you haven't done them in a while, look at them skeptically and say, is there something can go wrong here? What would I do differently? Or even possibly counteract a possible hazard. Focus on the task at hand. Try not to have any distractions and try to avoid complacency. Don't take shortcuts on personal safety. Especially true with anything in a school district. If you walk across the snow-covered playground to get to the building rather than the snow removed sidewalks, you're increasing your chance of something bad going to happen, and that's not a good thing to do. Wear your PPE where required or advised. That one I always use in previous years. It's even more important now with the COVID-19 thing. So whatever PPE requirements by the state or the district, please adhere to those rules. And if you see a problem, report those hazards and unsafe conditions. Custodians and principals and those in leadership positions can't do anything about it if it's not reported. So if you see something, say something, kind of like the lines of our law enforcement people. So without further ado, I hope you make good decisions this year when it comes to your personal safety. I hope you have a safe year. And like I said earlier, if you have any questions, please direct those to Deb, and she will direct them to me. And if you have any questions, please get a hold of me. I hope you have a safe year, and thank you very much for tuning in. Once again, this is Kevin Clayton with EMC Insurance out of Des Moines, and have a safe and happy school year.
I know we thought we would be doing our welcome back in person. However, we must adapt to the situation at hand. I want to wish you all the best as we prepare for our students returning to our buildings tomorrow. Here's to a great beginning that holds promise of an awesome year for you and your students. Have a great rest of your day, and go Rams.